that happened, but it was noted in the public sector and in the public. The Daily Nation on the front page talks of the story of Haiti. It's continued on page 4. Why is Kenya still in Haiti? Queries on security mission. And if you have to look at the figures, it now looks like it's heavily a burden for Kenya, because if Kenya has contributed 4.6 billion shillings, recently there was a supplementary budget that allocated more resources to that program. Mheshimiwa Ruto, for a country that is still struggling with the amount of money we have to implement our programs and, of course, to finance our obligations, do we really need to be in Haiti? If you have to look at the reality, we're losing our officers. The cost is high. As the Daily Nation is reporting, some countries are walking away.
So much. First of all, we need to understand the basis of such engagements. It goes beyond a country's volition to undertake these particular missions, but rather Kenya is a signatory to many multinational agreements and treaties. One of it is under the UN security. And for that purpose, for Kenya to be there, it was not on its own volition or on its own mission, but rather to comply with the signatories that Kenya is a member to it. And therefore, maybe the only issue is that to understand as to why the other countries are still delaying in remitting their subscriptions, because I understand all member states in every agreement, on every treaty, are subjected to subscription to it. And therefore, probably why Kenya is doing this is later it could be reimbursed, because if you look at all these contributions, goes beyond and above that particular Kenyan contribution. So probably it's a question of reimbursement that we need to be following it up.
You know, you're saying that it was a treaty. We're there because of a treaty. I thought it was actually voluntary.
No, it was all discussed, and it was a discourse. You remember that time during when we were in Parliament?
So there was a
and
call.
It came out clear. Kenya being a member to the UN Security Council.
It's not an obligation. We volunteer to go there. Please
look at it. Look at the foundation around it. And the president came out, spoke about it open, yes.
And said?
Of course, that a member, Kenya is a signatory. So yes, therefore,
but
it is not.
It's our responsibility as part of humanity.
Of course, and I think it is not the first time Kenya participating in peace missions all along. Kenya has been known to be doing well, and therefore Kenya has been coming well rated in that platform, because remember, every other time in Northern African countries, Kenya has participated, so it's not a new thing.
Mheshimiwa Maina, what is the position? Why are we in Haiti?
I find it quite interesting that Mheshimiwa Ruto here says that we have a mandate to Haiti, but not to the Kenyan people, because the first mandate that the police officers of Kenya have is to the Kenyan people. Some, as we speak, there is a police station in Muragara, Ndia constituency, Kirinyaga County, that has not had police officers since 2018. Moreover, there's a police station in Mwea constituency called called Riandera, that was shut down, or rather closed, because apparently they owe the landlord a bill of Kenya shillings 2 million. So where are our priorities? I think it is very comical to say that we want to help with security in Haiti, yet here locally we have issues of banditry. We have issues of police officers that have not been deployed to stations that are fully completed using taxpayers' money. We have police stations being closed because police officers owed rent. We saw recently in the news a police station that was being operated by a civilian. So I mean, what are we telling the Kenyan people? That yes, we do have the money to spend in Haiti, but we do not have, or rather we do not want to prioritize the security concerns in Kenya. And it goes without saying, I don't think it needs, it is clear and white. I don't think it needs one to be, have an IQ of even above 50 to know that it is absurdity of the highest level to me. Because we are spending these monies that we could apply here. We have local issues that we haven't solved. We are going outside to Haiti, where we do not even have an interest. Let's say in Somalia, we could say the interest is security because we border Somalia. But now we're all the way in Haiti, so for me, it doesn't make sense.
Yet we're in there because Mheshimiwa Ruto talks about we are there as a requirement, or so he sounds to suggest. There was a recent attempt to convert the mission into a peacekeeping mission, but didn't succeed. And also the Daily Nation is reporting that China and Russia vetoed the USA's push for a UN peacekeeping force. I'm just wondering, as Senator Onyonka, because at the end of the day, it's about prioritizing how we spend our resources. I've seen the US has issued a statement in support of restating its support for the mission. But as we cut our losses, what are we supposed to be thinking?
When you get into either a peacekeeping mission or when you get into a security requiring mission, there are certain things which you first do, Sami. Number one, you decide when you're going to have the entry. In the process, then you come up with a structure on what you're going to do. Are you going to implement a security military-based arrangement for securing certain regions or areas where you're going to do this exercise? Or are you just going to go in and recruit individuals or people from that area like we did in Somalia and make sure that these are the people who are going to participate in keeping the peace if there is a need for that? The problem that we have got is that if you look at the Kenyan engagement in Haiti, what are we doing in Haiti? Are we going into Haiti because we want to bring peace? Do we have the capacity of actually bringing that peace? The problem is, if you look at what is happening in Haiti, it is literally more like a military exercise that is going on, where you have individuals who have heavy machine guns, who have got the capacity to kill, who have got equipment, and they're actually ready for war. So what has happened is that a decision was made by the president to go to Haiti. There was no clarity. And there's another third point I was going to say. In your foreign policy, in your foreign mission, in your foreign engagement, there must be clarity on the purpose. And she's put it very well. What did we go to do in Somalia when we moved in? President Kibaki looked back and engaged himself with the necessary critical teams and asked them, are we having excessive cases of violence where Kenya is being blown up, where extremists are moving into the country and therefore we're in much danger? Or are we in a position where we are stabilizing Somalia, give it an opportunity to engage itself without Kenya deeply getting into it militarily? Because the fear was there's a possibility that if we were going to go in and we are not prepared, then Al-Shabaab and the other groups might have crossed over and then we would have a fully blown military warfare. Right. I believe the intelligence teams we had here were very, very, very good. They managed, they put in together teams of individuals during Kibaki's government who got the necessary intelligence, pacified the region, and of course Kenya sent a mission there. And of course that mission was being actually paid for by the United Nations Security Council and other bodies, including the Africa Organization of Africa, AU. What happened in Haiti? Look at the distance. What is our agenda in Haiti other than purely a PR exercise? That's how I look at it. You have taken our boys and girls to Haiti. I am not sure whether they were fully prepared to do, because what you have in Haiti today is actually a civil war. It's a civil war.
What do you mean it's a PR exercise?
I mean, if you ask me, what are the tangible wins that Kenya is going to get from Haiti? I mean, if you look at our engagement in Somalia, you could say that there was peace, that there was an engagement between the Somalis and Somaliland and all these regions.
You don't believe in the narrative about an obligation to the international community?
Which obligation? Look at the distance. I mean, look at where our troops are. Look at what is happening to them right now. Look at the way you've been seeing on social media. There are some of the police officers, the equipment they have. All right, the armored personnel carriers are not up to the standard that they need to be. And I'm not saying that that is the reason why we've lost 2 soldiers. We could have even lost many. Right. In fact, the reason why I believe that we have not lost very many of our troops is because the Kenya police is actually very well trained. Otherwise, our casualties would have been a disaster. So my argument is, we are not there to defend any oil. We are not in Haiti to bring any tourists to Kenya. We are not selling any goods to Haiti. There is no business arrangement we have with them. So what is the larger political, economic reason why we engaged?
Okay. Mark Nyamita, have your take on this?
I think that, of course, I sort of disagree with my brother, Honorable Nyonka, that Kenya really has an obligation to the international community. And even if you are not to look at it from a nation's perspective, even from an individual perspective, there are many things that we do, not necessarily that everything you do you must actually be able to gain. And I think earlier reports, except for the deaths that we have got, earlier reports have shown that the Kenyan delegation to Haiti has done a tremendous job in trying to bring in a bit of order. There are many times, even us as a country, that we depend on the international community to come in for us, even without them gaining, at least in the short term. So it's just that it's unfortunate, but like many other things that you're likely to face challenges, that they are facing challenges of faulty infrastructure that they're supposed to use, and that I think it was not envisaged that the Kenyan taxpayers' money was actually to be spent to the volumes that we're actually seeing. And I think that maybe the only thing that needs to be looked into is, now that other countries are backtracking on their earlier pledges and the money is not flowing, because what we understood is that the money that we were spending would actually be reimbursed at some point. So now that other countries are actually backtracking, maybe it is to review the engagement in light of those emerging issues. The US halting their commitment, and if the other partners are able to bring up their contribution, then I don't think that there should be a problem. But as a country, we can also go out as a big brother. And the reason why we went all the other way is, Haiti is a black-dominated country. And the reason why we took our peacekeepers there is that at least then it would be easier for our people to mingle with them. In as much as there's language differences, easier to mingle with them.
You don't even speak their language.
No. It's I'm not talking about language.
Sorry, what do you mean mingle?
What I mean is, if you brought white people, for example, to Kenya to do peacekeeping, it would almost like appear to them like it is a neo-colonialism.
But it is not a peacekeeping mission. It's a security mission.
Still the same, it's a security mission. That's what I'm talking about. So it is easier for the security it's easier for our people to intermingle with them without necessarily being pointed out as it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Sam, just as we
a
close on
security
that.
mission is totally different from a peacekeeping mission, and that's why you leave and see that China and Russia vetoed the USA's push for a UN peacekeeping mission. What is it,
Sam, just to close on that, I'm just really wondering, because we do sit with these colleagues in Parliament. My question is, should we send our police officers to Haiti at the detriment of Kenya? Also, the US has a long history with Haiti. Currently, as we speak, they have no police officers or their army officers in Haiti. So what is the agenda that we are the ones to have to do it? If it's talking about black people, the US also has black people. Americans.
It's not that we have to be. We were asked and we accepted.
Okay, all right.
We didn't have an obligation, but we did accept.
Then the question by the Daily Nation, why is Kenya still in Haiti? We take a short break here. On the break, when we come back, we'll be talking about the plans for 2025-2026 budget.